The St. Louis Blues just robbed the NHL again as they go out and sign the top available center at a free agency who is a 20 goal scorer. But not only that, we get a huge update on top prospect and first round pick Justin Carbonneau in camp. And this is insane. We're going to break down everything you need to know on this free agent signing and a little snippet on Justin Carbonneau just to get everyone a little fired up. But with that, let's just hop straight into Carbonneau because this stuff is insane. We can see from Andy Strickland, he said Justin Carbonneau looks like a bull in a china shop. Definitely stands out among Blues prospects. He has options to go to Boston College or go back to junior. But before we get into some stats and just covering him once again, these highlights of this kid is insane. A quick little spinorama, but it doesn't stop there. Everything he has done in this camp has been incredible. We know how good Carbonneau is. Whoops, skipping ahead a little bit there. But we do know with Carbonneau going in 46 goals in the QMJHL. What is your initial thoughts on just seeing how good he is and calling him a bull in the china shop?
Well, first of all, I think it's very interesting that he might actually go to Boston College next year because of the new CHL rules where, players can jump now at this point, not even after they were drafted at any point really. But I think that that's very interesting. So that's something to keep an eye on. But he looks fantastic. And he was described, a word to describe him on draft night, we said it in the video that we did that night, was a tank. A lot of people were describing him as a tank with hands. And you can see that here. Not the fastest skater, but man, he's silky smooth with his hands. He can get through, and by all accounts, great shot as well. So that is something to be hyped out about. We don't want to spend too much time on this because, of course, we're going to have lots of time to talk about Justin Carbonneau. But looking really good through development camp so far. And again, it's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up playing next season.
And if you enjoyed these highlights, I'm going to put that down below. Go watch all the stuff on these prospects, especially Carbonneau, because he's really standing out. But we're going to get straight into it. And I already clicked. I got fat fingers some days. We do see Pius Suter signed a 2-year deal with the St. Louis Blues, $4.125 million. With Suter coming in, he was looked at as maybe the second best center, hitting free agency behind Mikael Granlund, who got $7 million at 33 years old. Pius Suter, only 29 years old, coming in as one of the top available free agents from the Vancouver Canucks. What is your initial thoughts on just Pius Suter signing, and what do you think the implications of this lineup is now?
Well, we had a video earlier today about obviously Nick Leddy going on waivers, and we were like, hey, $4 million is freed up now. I wonder what they're going to be able to do with that. Well, Doug Armstrong clearly had a plan. There's your $4 million, bang, right there in Pius Suter, and obviously coming in as presumably third line center. This is a guy that can play in a lot of different situations. We don't know exactly how he fits into the lineup yet. Obviously, it's down the middle, but we don't know if it's a second line or third line center. I would imagine right now Braden Shen might still stay as the second line center, but we can get more into that. But again, this is a guy who can play in a bunch of different situations, and he's a Swiss Army knife of sorts. And obviously the best remaining free agent on the market. I would say free agent because centers are hot right now. Every single team is looking for centers. So the Blues came up with something huge here, and we knew that they were in. I think this is interesting too, and this is something else we were going to cover. Mason McTavish, they were in on him, but obviously you free up the same amount of cap to end up signing Suter. I guess it worked out in that way. I guess they got negotiations down to that number in the year amount, but or the term, I should say. But pretty tidy work here from Doug Armstrong. I like this move. We knew that they wanted to add at center. We knew that they've been trading wingers because they have a plethora of wingers. Not that you should be trading away wingers like they're nothing anyway, but they do have a plethora of them. And we knew that they wanted to add up the middle, and you do in a big way here. And this is a responsible forward. I like the way that they're building this team.
And I mean, looking at Jay Fresh's charts, you can see that he comes in an intelligent shutdown scoring center who transitions a lack of size and especially speed to prevent chances against. Creates a lot of goal scoring chances by getting to the slot and finding space. Pius Suter came in after having a career year in Vancouver, 25 goals, and the biggest thing with him as well, not getting a lot of power play time, also only having 2 power play goals. He actually led the entire Vancouver Canucks in even strength goals, or as the least tied, whatever it was, 22 goals at even strength. If he gets more of a chance on in the top 6, he can play wing. Not the best on the draw some seasons. We can see this year 43% basically, 50 last year. He can play wing, he can play center, he can play on your power play, he can play on your penalty kill. I think there's a lot of value with this. We've seen Granlund. I don't want to touch on him too much. He signed with the Ducks, but Granlund took $7 million. Seeing Suter, who's younger, coming off 25 goals, $3 million less. I think this is an absolute robbery from Doug Armstrong. I know a lot of Blues fans who are looking for maybe a bigger name center or a bigger name player, but looking at the lineup, I think he fits in perfectly. This leaves a room for Thomas, Schenn, Suter, and Bukestad. This is a very hard to play against center core, going right down to the 4th line. We know Bukestad was a former 20 goal scorer. Suter's coming off 20 goals. I mean, looking at this lineup, could you see the Blues being done, or do you think Doug Armstrong might look to bolster up maybe the wing a bit in the bottom 6?
I think they're close to done. There's a couple things that maybe they could do on the wing in terms of, in the immediate, because we know that they have a bunch of wingers and guys who are coming through the ranks and obviously through the AHL and junior. Carbonneau's on the way as well. We just touched on him. But I think one thing that's super impressive to me, and you highlighted it, is the work that they've done down the middle now. Obviously, you had Brayden Schenn before, you had, Robert Thomas before, but now looking down the middle, you have Suter there in the 3rd line center position, and obviously Bukestad. You have some size there, and Suter is very responsible. I would argue that every single center they have is actually a very responsible center, a guy who can put up points for you. Like you just said, Suter came off 20 goals. He's going to be on your 3rd line, and they're all very responsible in their own zone defensively through the neutral zone, and they can put points up on the board for you. Maybe not so much Bukestad, but he's a big body that can chip in here and there, and he is somewhat defensively responsible as well. So I really like the work that they've done up the middle. I'm not too worried about the wings. I have to be honest with that. I feel like there is a move coming in terms of freeing up some more salary cap space, maybe a depth moves in terms of moving out a player that has been, kind of thrown off the depth chart here, maybe a Sundqvist, for example. Don't know if they want to keep him at this point in time, or maybe just keep him as a depth forward. But I'm sure there's another move coming just to free up some more salary cap space, because, if they do want to make another move, you have to keep in mind during the offseason, you can only go 10% over the salary cap, and you're going to have to wait a while for that LTIR relief from Torrey Krug's contract. So they did have, at one point, it looked like they were going to have $11 million in cap space, not so much anymore, and you have to wait for that relief. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do the rest of the way, but I like the moves they made. I wonder if they try and go after Byram still. I think that's still definitely hanging in the balance, but this team is a lot better than they were 4 days ago at this point, and I think that's super exciting because they were very impressive before.
But I mean, Blues fans, looking at what Armstrong has done in his last season as a general manager, we're going to see Steen take over. What's your thoughts on taking Carbonneau? Do you think this kid is going to be ready for the NHL and maybe even a year or two from now? What's your thoughts on the Suter signing? Because a 25 goal scorer and the best available free agent right now, Nikolai Ehlers, but he's not the center. What is your thoughts on bringing him as well? What's your thoughts on my mic? Is my mic better right now? Got a new one, trying to figure out all the stuff perfect. I love to hear it. But Blues fans, once again for watching this, shout out to you guys for even making this possible for us. We love doing this content. Hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. While you're watching this, go down and leave a comment on everything we spoke on. Let me know how my mic is. Let me know what you want us to speak on next, because we're going to do this all off season in the next season for you guys. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, but I've been your host Mark with my co-host Darius, and take care.